Welcome to the Brand and Market Podcast, where branding clarity meets marketing strategy. I'm your host, Allie Haney, founder of Brand and Market, a boutique agency dedicated to helping small businesses craft intentional brands and effective marketing plans. Each week, I share practical tips and insights to help you, especially those of you in real estate-related industries, build a standout brand to attract your brand's biggest fans. Let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of the Brand and Market Podcast. Allie, your host here, and I am here with Hannah Merideth, the owner of Pilates Bar Lex. A little background into how Hannah and I met. It was, I think, in 2020 when I slid into Hannah's DMs. It was pre-Kentucky move, but I was really looking to try to establish my network there. And Hannah was an influencer at the time. I still think she has a lot of influence, but I don't think she calls herself that anymore. And I said, are you interested in doing a couple session with you and your husband? Because I would really like to grow my portfolio in Lexington and Louisville. So she was gracious enough to meet a stranger off the internet and walk around downtown with us while we got to take a bunch of pictures. So from there, we kind of had a budding friendship and working relationship. I think I've shot for Hannah now 6 or 7 times. It's been a lot, both personal and professional. So portraits and branding photos. That brings us to like year 5 of our friendship at this point. And I've gotten to see her through many different seasons and including her current season of Pilates Bar Lex. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Hannah so that she can tell us more about PBL and how this vision and amazing wellness studio came to be.
Yay. Thank you, Allie. I am so excited to be here. I just really appreciate you inviting me on, and it has been such a joy to get to know you over these past 5 years. I honestly can't believe it because COVID was such like a flashback, and the fact that we did that in I think it was July or August, and here we are 5 years later. So crazy.
Yeah, it was like as soon as the restrictions opened up for a little bit before they got tighter again. And I was like super pregnant at the time.
Yeah, you were. We were just like hustling downtown Lexington, walking everywhere. Do you remember that little, it was like this back alley like place we went? I don't even know where it was, but we went into this like garden area, and there's some of my favorite pictures. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
And I was like, are we supposed to be here? And you were like, I don't know. And hey, they're beautiful photos. I still couldn't tell you where that is today. Like, I tried to like go re-find it, and I'm like, I don't know where that was. So,
and she's from Lexington.
yeah, I have no idea where it was. Still don't, but they were beautiful. And it's just been amazing to not only like work with you on a professional level, but like also being, close as a friend. So I just appreciate it. But Pilates Bar Lex. So taking it back a little bit to when I was younger, I've always had like an idea that I wanted to do something being an entrepreneur, right? Like I've always had that drive in me to go out, follow my dreams, and just make a difference in the world. So at the age of 8, I begged my mom to start a card business. I made like homemade cards, like little thank you cards and get well cards, whatever it was for people. And I think I sold them for like 50 cents or $1. And I used to scrapbook. So that was like my first little business side hustle at 8 years old.
I did not know that part of your story.
Yeah. People around like my church, my homeschool group, like everything like that, they would just buy these cards for me. And it was so much fun, which also probably like sparked my love for cards because I don't throw away any card I have ever. Anyway, so that was like my first introduction to being an entrepreneur, and I loved it. After that, I obviously like 8 to 18, I ended up going to trade school for dental assisting. So I was in the dental field for a couple of years and really loved the patient interaction and just helping others. I've always had this drive to serve people, and I knew in the dental field that I could do that. However, I did feel like I was made for more, I guess you could say. And also that was in the midst of COVID. And COVID really changed the trajectory of the dental world, like completely. So I was feeling like I needed a career switch. At the time, I had a friend of mine invite me to Pilates, and I went and took a class. Actually hated my first class. Did not like it, which is so funny. But I also told myself, give it 3 tries, 3 to 5 times. You don't know if you like something unless you try it multiple times. It's just like a food. You eat a food once and you're like, I don't know. And then you try it again and you're like, okay, maybe I can withstand that. So ended up going 3 to 5 times, loved it, completely loved it after that, and started taking classes. The owner of the studio kind of approached me and was like, hey, like, I think that you'd be a really great teacher. You obviously have care for individuals. You love the practice. What do you think about becoming certified and going through teacher training? So that's kind of how like all of that fell into place, right? Ended up getting certified, had the opportunity to co-own an existing studio in the area, and did that for a little bit and decided that the alignment of our vision was just not there. And so it was a little scary, but I decided to possibly branch out on my own and start Pilates Bar Lex, or what it is today. And had no idea at the time that I left if I would be able to do that financially. Did not know. It's obviously a big feat to take on. Like, it's scary to start something from the ground up and you have no idea if anyone is going to walk in your doors and be that support. So ended up being able to go through with that, which I feel very lucky and blessed to be able to do. Just creating Pilates Bar Lex has truly been like the hardest, but also most rewarding journey. And for me, it was about creating like a safe space for people to not only find wellness and fitness and Pilates and just like mindful movement, but also a space where they could find community. Because I think oftentimes we are in like a gym setting per se, and you go in, you take the class, and you leave. And for me, I wanted something bigger than that. And it's amazing to see. I have so many members like go to margaritas, Mexican, anything after. So creating that community was so important to me. And that's really how it came to be. So from 8 years old to now almost 28 years old, 10 years, it's crazy to see how that just has trickled in and how I got started at Pilates Bar Lex. So here we are today.
Yeah, I remember the late night voice messages when you were thinking about starting PBL, and even down to like researching commercial spaces, like looking at what that like monthly lease payment was going to be. Like
Yeah.
I remember like you specifically telling me like it's a 3-year lease, but it's the perfect location. I've looked at other places and they just don't match up. And you're like, I don't think that you were specifically looking to me to be like, do I do it? But it was just this like kind of, you needed like a kind of push or a reinforcement of like, this is the right thing to do. And it's sometimes really hard to bet on yourself like that in those really early stages.
And I especially think, I know we're taking it back to 2020, but with all of that, it's like, oh my gosh, 3 years just felt like so long. It's like, oh, 3 years. And now in June, it'll be 3 years. So it's like, it's over. Like, it's, like the 3 years is over and done, and I'm getting ready to resign. So it's just crazy. It goes by so fast. Like, what's the saying? The days are long, but the years are short, and it really is true.
That was another voice message that we recently had. You're like, I'm already at 3 years. I don't know how that happened. But there's been like a lot of stuff that has occurred in the studio in terms of like hiring and growth and membership growth. Like everything has been pretty much off the charts the whole time. But you've also had to juggle some stuff in your personal life too with, diagnoses and stuff. So like that has been an inspiration to me to see you be able to sustain that growth and still be able to, like be a human. You're an inspiration.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm human, and other days I'm like, am I superhuman? Like, what's happening? I think I blacked out the first like year and a half or 2 years, and then we got three. It's like building the business. You're like, all right, like, am I gonna make next month's rent, and like who's gonna come in my doors, and who's it's just like ebb and flow, and I feel like by year three, 2.5 to 3, I feel like I've gotten a good grip on like trends and things like that. It's a little bit like I can like breathe a little bit more than being always on edge. You're in more of a groove, like more of a flow. No pun intended with Pilates, but it's true. Yeah.
Well, that kind of leads me into my first question. We talked about, the really scary startup costs, taking on that commercial lease, utilities, all of the reformers and the actual equipment and everything. So what made you decide to invest in brand photography specifically in the first place when you were facing all of those other startup costs as well?
I feel like for me, I'm both equally creative as I am logical. I'm like a 50-50 balance. So the logical side of me had realized that I wanted to attract, I would say, like people like myself, because I feel like my brand is very much a representation of who I am and what I want to put out in the world. I wanted to attract, members who wanted that community, who wanted that safe space with a small boutique studio feel, quality over quantity type deal. And so I knew that through photography, that could happen. Using generic stock photos, it just doesn't do much for the eye. You look at it, you look away. But when somebody has, a professional image, it catches your eye. You're like, oh, what is that? And what do they do? And then visually, it also made sense to me with the artistic side because I think pictures are beautiful. I've always loved photos. So that's kind of like for me, I was like, okay, that makes sense of why I would do it. Obviously, it is an investment, when you have these startup costs, but I think one thing I would say is it is worth every penny. I think that should be next to finding your lease and, finalizing your space, getting your equipment. I mean, it's up there between like 3 and 4. Like photography is there for me. And I think it should be for every business owner and small business owner out there because it really does set your brand apart and it makes you stand out, regardless if it's a saturated market in your industry or a non saturated market. There's a way that photography can really bring out your brand to attract individuals that would be perfect for your specific brand. And in my case, it was my Pilates studio. And so I think it also helped that like we knew one another. I trusted you and I was like, she will do an amazing job capturing PBL. And it's so funny because I've told you this before. I'm pretty sure I have. You're like the only person, and I've worked with a lot of wonderful photographers over the years, but you're the only person who can like truly capture. I don't know how you do it. You're like magical. You're the only you really are because you're one of like the only person to be able to capture my personality through a photo. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like you just know how to bring out that like sense of calm side in me, but also like the fun side in a photo because it just doesn't feel fake. It's not forced because we're comfortable with each other. So you just do like the best job at that.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. But really, for me, it was just about the fact that I wanted to stand out and that I think that brand photography is seriously one of the most important things that you can do for your business, one of the best investments you can make. So if you're listening to this, set aside the money for it because it is well worth it and pay the price. So 15,000% recommend. So yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that made my job easier as a photographer was how clear you were on your brand. And I think a lot of people try to differentiate between like personal brands and business brands, but you have really married the two and that your personal core values are what you started PBL off of. That's something that a lot of people don't have when they're coming to me for brand photography. But when you immediately said community, flourish is one of your words, strength and inclusivity, like all of those adjectives, all of those core values really help lead me as a photographer to know what images to capture and how to capture them. And like you said, we've been working together for so long that at this point, you just basically have to tell me what like your upcoming promos are or your new pieces of equipment that we need to capture or whatever. But even taking it back to one of our very first sessions at PBL when I think we had like one reformer and nothing on the walls of the studio. Like,
Oh my gosh. With the black reformer.
was it
When I
black? I'm
had
trying to remember.
yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and it's literally just you were taking the photos. It was me and then client on the reformer,
Yeah.
blank walls and floors. I think we had just painted it white. Like it was just yeah.
And put down the
We didn't
floor.
even have a mirror. We didn't even have a mirror.
You've
Like it
come
was
so far.
blank space. Oh my gosh. I need to pull up those photos. I don't know if I've looked at those in a while. That's so funny.
So, just to give you guys kind of a context of how far she's come, she now has 7 reformers, right?
Yes. Yep. 7.
And I'm going to butcher this. I know it's called a Cadillac machine, but it's this apparatus that is huge and amazing and has so many different like doodad gadgets that I don't understand, but it was
Next time you need to book a private and then we need to do our shoot or maybe after.
Yeah, I don't know.
Decompress or get
I
ready
don't
for it. I don't know.
I saw you shaking up there on that Cadillac. I don't know. It definitely has to
In
be
that video,
after.
in the photos, yeah. It's a good workout, but it's fun. Yeah, you got it right. Cadillac trapeze table
Trapeze table.
tower.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Well, just to show you how far she's come, we started with one black reformer with nothing on the walls. Now it's a studio with a reception desk, like place where she sells grippy socks and other merch. Like I said, the 7 reformers that are all on brand colors and the Cadillac in the back with like a full built out area for like snacks and places that she can care for all of her members. So it's been a really beautiful 3 years and just to see the transition and growth. So I feel like you already touched on this, but what was your main thing that you were trying to achieve with photos? Was it specifically trying to target an ideal client? Was it to try and look professional? Where did like that fall?
I think a little bit of both. I really wanted to show the inclusivity was huge for me. Like, I've always wanted to, have community, be inclusive of everyone. And so that was huge for me to show, but also just to show like the welcoming space, the light and airy, like the professional images, just phone images or like they just don't do it justice, honestly. Like it's such a beautiful space and so many spaces are so beautiful and I just think brand photography just takes it to that next level. I've had so many people, and when you first open, you never expect for people to like give you these comments. And I've had a lot of people, I mean, I probably can't even count it on 2 hands, tell me like from the moment I saw your, Google, like I showed up on Google or wherever they found me, to the time I clicked on your website, from booking to seeing your Instagram to walking into the studio, they were like, it's not just marketing. You say, wait, what's the saying?
You say what you mean and you mean what you say.
Mean what you say. Yeah, I'll always butcher that. But, like it's true. They were like, it's not just marketing, like you mean every word and what you put out in your Instagram, Facebook, website, any social media. It's the exact same when you walk in the doors. So I think from that regard, those photos really do showcase what we offer. They're obviously doing something because it's working, right? And it's bringing in those people who recognize that I'm wanting to attract that community based, inclusive space. Whoever you are, can come and do Pilates. It's not just for, one specific person per se.
Right. And I will say that not only one, I already mentioned one thing that differentiated you was like you were very clear in your brand values from the jump, and they have stayed consistent throughout the last 3 years, even probably before that, because I feel like those personal core values were there prior to like PBL. But the second thing that differentiated or differentiates you continuously is how consistently you show up and use images and, all of your marketing presence throughout every single avenue. You mentioned they find you on Google first, which happens to have a lot to do with SEO. However, even with your Google My Business listing, you consistently update those photos. I know that you post on Instagram at least once a day, pretty much religiously. You continuously put out your, I think, weekly or monthly emails for your PBL newsletter.
Yeah, 3 times a month.
And then your private Facebook group. You still, continuously continue to nurture everyone there. And I want to say, just make the point that like brand photos are only useful if you use them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so it's
This
really
is true too.
easy. Yeah. So it's really easy to get those brand images and then just let them set on a hard drive. Like if you don't actually utilize them, it's like having a tool in your tool chest. A hammer is not going to do anything by sitting in the toolbox, right? You actually have to get out and use it. So that's another thing that I wanted to point out that you do incredibly well is that you make the investment and then you capitalize on the investment.
I think sometimes people are just nervous to put it out there. I think it comes down to like, oh my gosh, like, is this picture good enough? Is this good enough to put out in the world about my brand? And I just encourage you to just do it. Like, post the first one and then just keep following suit. And I think that it's just important to get the word out. And in a recent other podcast that you did, I listened to, and it was like, don't overwhelm yourself with so many social medias to the point where, you have 10 and you're on every single platform, LinkedIn, Threads, Pinterest. If you're on every one, you're never going to be able to keep up with all that. I'm like, pick your three, figure out which three are doing the best for your business and post on those. Don't make it more complicated than it has to be, And use the scheduling feature.
Yes, yes. I use
It's so nice.
I'll do a little plug for the one that I use. I use Metricool and it's really great. I think if you only do one brand on Metricool, it's actually free and it will tell you whichever of those three platforms, it has capabilities for pretty much all of them. But whichever three you end up choosing, it'll tell you when your audience is on the most in the scheduling part so that you can like schedule ahead of time to when your audience is most active.
That's good to know. I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah, it's really great. Okay, I know we've already sort of touched on the planning process, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into that just to see what it's like from a client's perspective. So, as you know, I'm going to tell, everybody else that hasn't been through the process yet. I send out a questionnaire that says, okay, what are your goals for the next 6 months in terms of your business? What are your brand's core values? What's your mission statement? Your colors? Basically, this very thorough, in-depth questionnaire so that I can get to know not only your brand and your business, but also what the purpose of this photo shoot is so that we can be as productive and efficient with our time as possible. That's one of my core values.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once I get that questionnaire back, I'm able to tailor a shot list specifically to the actual business owner. But how, from the client perspective, did that process feel? Did it give you, were you overwhelmed by it or were you empowered by it?
Allie and I are both very type A people. Getting the mile-long email with all the links and it all spelled out A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the full alphabet sings to my soul. I love it. It's true. I really do. I am the type of person, you should see the emails I send out to my new clients. I hope it doesn't overwhelm them, but I like to be thorough. I would rather someone be very thorough with me and give me all the details, when to show up. Here's your intake form in advance so you don't have to be rushed. So that when you show up on the day of, like you said, we make the most out of our time. We know what we're doing. And it's not where's what? What's who? It's a little less chaotic. Not that branding shoot days are not a little chaotic because you always have that element of you're adding people in and there's, I don't even know, 12 people total, and it's so much fun. But it's always a little chaotic. But that organization before really helps us to be okay, this person needs to be here at this time. We need to do this at this time. I love it. From client perspective, for me, love it so much. I fill out everything. I think I've even sent you a brand mood board before. I'm okay, she wants me to do this, but I'm going to take it 1 or 2 steps further and I'm going to send her all the pictures that we're going to do beforehand. So I love it.
That helps me so much just to see the vision inside of your head because it takes a lot of the guesswork out for me and ultimately gives you a better result too because you're getting exactly what you want. I will say with Hannah's, when we are doing sessions, we do sessions with people actually on the reformers. So, and members at that, yes. And so it is a little bit more coordination in terms of who needs to be where when. But if I was doing a branding session with someone with a 2 to 3 person team, it's a little bit less. I wouldn't even say it's chaotic. It's a beautiful harmony of moving bodies going in and out of the door and stuff. I mean, at least now it is. I wouldn't say that first one, when we added models in for the first time, I guess they were new clients, but when we added new clients in the first time, chaotic might have been the app description. But I feel now it's just
the door for me.
The what?
The door.
Oh,
it's
opening?
Shut the door.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Don't
yeah,
open the
yeah,
door
yeah.
in the back. Yeah. I have a door in the back of my studio. And so, we always have to make sure it's shut so that we're in the front of the studio. The back door isn't wide open. And so it's always hey, can you shut the door? Shut the door behind you. It's when your mom is a little kid. Did you shut the door? Did you turn off the lights?
The door and the thermostat are probably the 2 things that we
Yes.
keep an eye on the most.
Yep.
Picture this. Your brand brought to life with visuals that truly capture its essence. Whether it's for your website, your social media, or any other marketing materials, the images you use tell a story. Your story. And that's where brand photography comes in. For my local Raleigh and North Carolina clients, I offer brand photography sessions designed to showcase who you are, what you do, and what makes your business unique. At previous sessions, I've helped stage houses, I've been an extra in one of my shots, and even climbed on scaffolding. So you can rest assured I will do anything to get the shot. Let's create images that resonate with your audience and reflect the heart of your business. Because when your visuals align with your brand, you build trust, make connections, and leave a lasting impression. Are you ready to elevate your business with on-brand images? If so, visit www.brandandmarket.co/contact to get more information about brand photography services and schedule your session. Let's bring your story to life one image at a time. Okay, now I kind of want to take us into, we've planned the session. We know what the shot list is. We know what everybody's going to be wearing. And then it comes to session day. Was there a specific moment in any of the sessions that we had that you were like, yes, this is just totally right. It feels right for me and my brand? Because you said that I was able to kind of capture you in your most genuine, authentic form. Like explain that moment to me.
I think for me, it's just you are such a good communicator. And I feel like we honestly can just like read each other's minds. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, it's like we'll be in the middle of the session and all of a sudden we'll just look at each other and it's like, okay, we need to switch this. Or like if somebody's wearing one color and then they're wearing another color and we like rotate them. But when you photograph me, myself, and I, that sounds so conceited. I'm not conceited at all. But I feel like you just make me feel so comfortable. And you guide me, but you also like just let me be. Like you don't necessarily pose me in a specific way, which feels so unnatural to me. You're just kind of like, oh, move to the left so the camera's not in the background or the thermostat's not in the background or move this way. And then you just kind of let me be myself. And I think that that's just a huge part of how you capture my personality so well through the photo. But also, like when I'm on the reformer too, that's like my element, like that is what I know. That's what I'm really good at. So I automatically feel a lot more comfortable. Now, when she makes me hold the pose for 4 minutes and I'm quivering, my whole body is like shaking. And I'm like, are we almost done yet? I am honestly shocked that I still have a smile on my face. And I'm like, and I still look like myself. But it's all worth it in the end. It is. It's like on the lightest spring, and I'm just like, my arm is like shaking.
I preface like every time I have a new group of women on the reformers, I'm like, okay, guys, this is going to be a little bit different than your normal Pilates workout. Yes, it's
Isolated.
supposed to mimic a real class, but I'm going to ask you to hold it in a certain position, and you need to let me get my shot first.
And they're all sore every time. They're like, I'm sore from the photo shoot. And I'm like, I'm sure you are. And then they're like, but it's only one butt cheek. And I'm like, yeah, probably. We did have you in
Sorry,
that lunch
ladies.
for about 3 minutes. Sorry, we'll even it out today in class.
I think too, like even if someone was not looking to like book me specifically as their photographer, I think there's something truly to be said for developing a relationship with one person to know that they know your business and they can, anytime that they come back for another branding session, that they're able to basically like put the code of your business on and wear it around while they're there, you know?
Yeah, 1010%. I mean, when you told me you were moving, I was like, I begged you. I was like, please come back to Kentucky for my brand shoots. I was like, I honestly couldn't and can't imagine like trying to even find, I don't even want to think about that because you were just so good at what you do. And I even had asked you yesterday, I was like, hey, like, can you fly out here in July? Like, I'll fly you down here. You can stay with me, like, yeah, having that relationship and like having your brand photographer understand not only who you are as a person and your values, but also like what your vision for your business is. Because with those two married, you're going to have amazing results every time. And someone who can communicate really well. You're a great communicator. And I think that communication is so key in a process like this because it's not just, okay, I'm going to show up and take photos at your studio or whatever your business is. It's okay, we're going to start from point A and then get to point Z, and everything in between matters. So,
Okay, with that being said, what's something that you think other small business owners don't realize about the power of brand photography?
I think going back to that initial conversation about like price, I think that a lot of business owners or someone trying to develop a brand, it's hard for them to imagine upfront putting down this money for something that they haven't seen yet. I think that although it's worth every penny, you have to really find that person that you not only click with, but you've seen their work, you've seen the results that they produce. And you kind of just have to put trust in them to, do their job. And you just have to do your part in the, helping them organize it and communicate with them and help them to see the vision for your brand. But I feel like photography also really plays a key role in your website. If you have that professional brand photography that really showcases your brand and your goals and your values and your mission, it's much easier for, either a new client or someone looking into your services and products to be able to kind of see into your brand. It's a lot harder if somebody gets on a website or you don't have a website and they're like, well, where do I go from here? And why is that image a stock photo I saw on Google 3 weeks ago? Or, an ad that I saw a month ago that's just someone sitting or whatever it is, doing something on the reformer that's very obvious, an image that was just downloaded off of some sort of stock image platform. So it's just essential because that photography also is warm and it's welcoming and it allows them to feel like a part of something before they ever even step into your business or purchase a product from you, or in my case, come to the studio. So it's really just about marketing, but also making that first impression. I can't remember if you have like 5 seconds or 10 seconds to make an initial impression on someone.
I would say probably closer, like with everybody's attention span getting smaller, I would say it's probably closer to like 2 or 3.
Okay,
Um,
2 or 3 seconds.
yeah.
So just, I mean, think about that. You have 2 or 3 seconds to make an impression. Somebody clicks on your website. What's the first thing they see? I think that if you have a professional image with your mission statement, et cetera, and you have this website, that's going to catch somebody's eye and be like, oh, wait, that's legit. Versus just a generic website you go to and you see a stock image with their logo. It's just not as eye catching. And you want to create that sense of community in a genuine way. Marketing can be genuine if it's done in the right way. I think a lot of people think that marketing can be a little scammy, and it can be. Don't get me wrong. I've seen it done that way, but it doesn't have to be. Are using the images and using your own voice and creating your own content. And I know a lot of people hire out for it, but personally, I love it because it still allows me to be my true authentic self. And so my members or potential customers or members are able to connect with me initially. And it's my voice and my brand. So I think that brand photography is so looked over in so many, businesses that it could just be such an asset to their portfolio for them to have and use across platforms.
That kind of pops another question into my head because I mentioned that we've done so many sessions together.
Yeah.
So we average probably 1.5 to 2 sessions per year. What would you say to people that are thinking that brand photography is a one and done type of like checklist item versus something that you could potentially do annually every 6 months, what have you?
I think for me and in my situation, it feels like every year is like a non-negotiable. It really does because honestly, at the 6 to 8 month mark, I'm like, I need more photos. But I also use them, like you said, like I'm posting quite a bit, and some people would say I post too much. I've never been told I post too much. People are engaged. They like my content. I try to post meaningful content, educational content, not just a photo, with yay, Pilates. Got to go a little deeper than that. I feel like, yeah, it should not be a one and done thing. I think annually is ideal because things can change, right? So I started with 6 reformers and ended up being able to fill those 6 on a regular basis. So I added a 7th reformer, which in turn changed my composition of the way the studio was laid out, right? And I ended up getting new shelves that I wanted to showcase. And it might be little details, but the closest that you can get to what your studio per se, brand, your business looks like, the better. Because if clients see that on your website and they walk in and it's something completely different, they're going to be like, wait 1 second, this isn't what I thought I was walking into,
Feels
right?
like a bait and
It
switch, like that scammy
yeah, yeah, yeah,
marketing
yeah.
again.
And that's what I mean about scammy marketing. It's like, okay, if they take this beautiful photo and then they walk in and you've repainted to, let's say a dark green and you had a white photo up, although that's not a bad switch per se, because your branding colors might have changed or whatever you decided to do, it still feels a little bit less genuine because it's not what they thought they were walking into. So I 100% think every year is a non-negotiable. If nothing changes in your business, which is very, I feel like, untypical for a small business, then I would say every year and a half or 2 years, depending. But also your team changes. Like my team has changed. I've added. So it was just me. And then I brought on Abby, and it was just us for mm, almost a
A
year and a
year?
half, I
Yeah.
think, a year and 5 months. Again, blacked out completely during that course. So, like, don't know. About a year and a half. And then it went from two to like eight, 7 or 8 in the span of like a couple of months. So, you want photos to showcase your team or whoever it is. And, if you bring somebody on and you want that cohesiveness, I think is what really brings the brand together.
Absolutely. And I know for myself, like I try to get them done every year too, to just to practice what I preach. But it's funny that I can see the evolution of my business that goes alongside with the evolution of my hair color.
100%. And when we had our color analysis done in local to Lexington, I know that you had somebody do yours, but local to Lexington, Sarah Fox, she's actually a member at the studio. A little shout out to her. She's phenomenal. And the things that I learned from learning my colors is insane. Like, I have never felt more confident in dressing. I know this is like a side tangent, but it matters also for brand photography. If you can get your colors done before you do your brand photography, my colors just happen to be in my color palette, which
Imagine that.
is like amazing. I like the colors I get to wear or that are the best colors for me per se. But that is a huge thing. But like you said, just like getting your hair color done, your hair done, or you grow it out or you cut it short. And it's like having, photos done once a year. A lot can change in a year, is what I'm, getting at, what we're getting at.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely. And that brings me to my last question is how do you think having professional brand photos has positioned you within your market for, clients to view your business differently than others in your industry?
My brand, like we've talked a little bit about the PBL brand, the inclusive, the community, approachable luxury Pilates experience, a bespoke experience where, there's 7 reformers. We can tailor the class to everyone in the class, whether you have injuries, you've had surgery, you're rehabbing from something, we can give you a modification or progression depending on where you're at in your Pilates journey. And there's something to be said about being able to photograph that and to be able to put it out in the world. So in my opinion, if someone is going to pay a premium for a service, which Pilates, I believe, resides in that category, I think from the second that they, again, pop on Google to the minute they see my website, it should be approachable but luxury. And then they go onto my Instagram. Okay, she's obviously invested in her marketing materials, her photography, her website. So I know that she's going to invest in me. I think that like speaks volumes. I personally am going to be much more drawn to someone who presents themselves in that matter if I'm going to be paying a premium for a service, but that it still keeps that authenticity portion. There's a really fine line I feel like you have to walk to be authentic and professional, but I think branding photography can really help you do that. And I think that's how it sets me apart. I think in the fitness world, a lot of people think, oh, it's just going to be videos of, them doing skating or side splits on the reformer. And it just is not going to be pretty. And it probably smells in the studio. It's like, I don't know, like they probably have this idea, but like it doesn't. Like it's pretty, it's light and airy, it doesn't smell, like there's just certain things that like you can have be presented through photography or through photos that you're trying to let your potential members or customers know. And I think that that's what sets me apart from the general industry standard.
Yeah, I absolutely think that branding feels intangible at sometimes, but brand photography is a way to bring the brand to life. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your rebrand. I know that that wasn't really like initially on our agenda, but like I don't know how I overlooked that because it's been such a big part of the last couple months for you. But so I got my visual brand done back in like late summer, early fall of last year with Victoria Marcoulier, owner of Brandwell Designs. I actually have a whole episode with Victoria about branding, so I'm going to link that in the show notes for you guys to see. But when Hannah said that she was looking to possibly rebrand in the beginning of 2025, I referred her to Victoria because I felt like they would be a really great fit. And she's worked with one of Victoria's designers, and they brought this visual brand to life. I know that you guys can't see it right now, but we are both wearing merch. Hannah was so thoughtful and sent me like the very first piece of merch. It was just me and her who had
Yep.
this awesome cozy sweatshirt. But it's been like an incredible process to see this like level up of PBL from like your initial logo, and I even designed your first website, and just to see you like come to life over this new rebrand where you feel like your visuals are now even more so aligning with the brand that you want to put out into the world has been really, really incredible.
Yeah, it's been a journey. I was thinking about it the other day and I kind of got emotional because like that first logo, like that's what started it all, right? And to like see that and then to like take this like switch, which I'm so excited. I love my new logos. I think they're absolutely stunning. Like when I launched, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so you and a brand. Like you are your brand. Like it's so elevated, luxe, clean. It's Pilates Bar Lex." And so I feel like although it's like so exciting and I'm so happy ended up at this point, it is like this kind of like bittersweet because it's like that's the logo and website that started it all. And now I'm like, not that my mission statement vision has changed. It's just I knew that at some point I wanted to level up and again provide that premium experience from the merch I carry. It's all embroidered, which, I think that that's important to provide a high quality product. Every little detail matters. So, like, I got bags that has our logo on it. I got tissue paper with our submark on it. Like, there's so many things that I've wanted to do that are like coming to life that in the beginning, you just have zero money and you're poor. And, like, you just don't have a lot of that startup. And so sometimes you have to wait. Some good things take time, sometimes. And I was really excited to be able to push out this rebrand going into year 3 and to really show not only myself, but like also like my members that like we are moving forward and we are elevating even what was already elevated. Like we want to do even better and provide just amazing experience.
Yeah, what an incredible example that you set for your members, just to say, like, we're good, but we can be great and like continue to push and grow because, like you said, good things take time. But for us type A girlies, we're impatient as hell and we
Yeah, we
want it
are.
to be, we want it
We
to be
want it
perfect.
now.
Yeah, we want it to be perfect from the jump. And so to like see the elevation and like you being at peace with the evolution of PBL has like really inspired me and given me an example too. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're sweet. You're sweet.
Oh my God, I'm going to start tear up. Stop.
I
Tell me
know.
to do
I'm like,
that.
I'm not, I know. I'm not, I can't cry. I'm like actually shocked I've made it this far without like tears streaming down my face. I'm a very emotional girly.
Well, thank you
I'm
so
an
much,
empath.
Hannah, for sharing your heart behind PBL, for showing other people the power of brand photography and how it's changed your business and molded your business from the beginning, really. I just want to say thank you so much for giving us your time and your thoughts today. And I would love for you to be able for other people to be able to find you so they can see the power of brand photography in action. So tell everybody where they can find you online, Instagram, all the things.
Perfect. So on Instagram, we are at Pilates Bar Lex _. And then Facebook, Pilates Bar Lex, a boutique wellness studio. And Google Pilates Bar Lex. It's pretty much just Pilates Bar Lex, everything. You'll find us. but the bar is Barre. So it is the fitness method because we offer a fusion class that has Pilates and bar. So that's kind of where that came from. So we aren't a Pilates drinking bar. We're Pilates bar, as in the fitness method of bar. So I actually get that question more than you'd think about like the Barre in there. Yeah. So just need to clarify that. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
PilatesBarLex.com.
PilatesBarlex.com. Website
Awesome.
under renovation right now, but coming soon.
Oh, that was a teaser. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Hannah.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Allie.
You just completed another episode of the Brandon Market Podcast. If you found this helpful, please rate, review, and subscribe to help others find this show and so that you never miss an episode. Don't forget to take a look at the show notes for all the resources mentioned today. See you next Wednesday, and as always, I'm here cheering you on as you build your dream brand and business.